The film begins during World War II with a boy named Angus who loves the sea but is afraid of it. He often imagines that if he dives into the water, he will drown and no one will be able to save him. He enjoys collecting seashells, just as he used to do with his father. One day, he finds a large rock that feels surprisingly light and decides to keep it. His mother, Anna, comes to take him back home. Angus goes to the house's shed to store the seashells and the large rock, but as he examines the rock, he notices that it is peeling, has a strange color, and there is a sticky substance oozing from it, similar to an egg. His mother calls for him, and the rock moves slightly. Later that night, the wind is so strong that it blows open the shed door. Angus goes down to the shed and finds that the egg is fallen and is broken. He starts to sense movement around him and hears things falling. He follows the sound until he sees a strange little creature hiding from him. Angus tries to reach out his hand to it, but the creature, frightened, tries to bite him. Angus runs to the kitchen, grabs a knife and a potato, and offers a potato to the creature, hoping it might eat it. The creature starts eating the potato and allows Angus to touch it without biting. However, Angus notices that the creature has a wound on its back, so he quickly gets a first aid kit to treat it. He leaves the creature in the shed and goes back to his room, so his mother won't notice that he stayed too long in the shed. The next day, they wake up to the sound of a military platoon stationed in front of their house. The commander, Thomas, approaches them and informs them that the platoon will remain in their garden by orders of the command center for a certain period, and only the officers will be sleeping inside the house. Angus goes to his father's study, takes a dictionary, and heads back to the shed to check on the creature. He finds it eating his father's shoe and realizes it is hungry. He goes to the kitchen, grabs a basket of food, and offers it to the creature to eat. Angus decides to name the creature Cruso after the author of his father's favorite book. Angus opens the dictionary to find out what kind of creature Cruso is, but he can't identify it. After Cruso finishes eating, Angus tries to touch its skin and finds it very dry and in need of water. He pours water on Cruso, and the creature is happy and enjoys swimming in it. Angus begins to take care of Cruso and plays with him. One day, Angus's mother is looking for him because she wants to tell him something about his father. She meets Lewis, the new housekeeper, and asks him to start cleaning the shed because she suspects that her son is raising an animal in there, which is not allowed in the house. Lewis begins to clean the shed and sees Angus as he is pouring out the water that Cruso was in, but Cruso is no longer in the water. He asks Angus what he is doing in his father's shed, and Angus replies that he is going to clean it as his mother instructed. Angus then rushes out to search for Cruso everywhere until nightfall. By this time, Cruso has grown in size and is inside Angus's house. The dog belonging to the platoon's cook named Strunk chases after Cruso, but since the dog is tied to the stove, it ends up pulling hard on the leash and wrecking the kitchen. Strunk decides to lock the dog in the shed. Meanwhile, Angus hears his sister scream and run out of the bathroom. He realizes that Cruso is upstairs, so he catches up to his sister before she can tell anyone. He explains everything to her and reassures her that Cruso is not dangerous, though he is surprised at how quickly Cruso has grown. Angus makes his sister Christy promise not to tell anyone. The next day, Anna goes to give Lewis her husband's old clothes. Lewis thanks her and says he will thank her husband when he returns. But Anna tells him that her husband can't come back because he drowned with his ship a year ago and that her son still doesn't know about his father's death. She also mentions that the bathroom needs repairs, so Lewis goes to fix it. Meanwhile, Angus and Christy are in the bathroom, trying to prevent Lewis from entering, but they can't stop him. When Lewis enters, he sees Cruso. After calming down, he says that Cruso looks like a seahorse and that it is a rare mythical creature that very few have seen in real life. He explains that, according to legends, it is both male and female and lays eggs only once before it dies. They all stay in the bathroom for so long that Anna starts looking for them. When she finds them, Angus and Lewis tell her they are helping Lewis repair the bathroom pipes, and they manage to hide Cruso. While the army is having a feast at the house, Angus leaves the bathroom and forgets to close the door. Cruso comes out of the bathroom and is chased by the dog, who is now loose in the house. The dog starts breaking everything around him as he chases Cruso, running downstairs next to the room where the platoon officers are and Anna, until Cruso runs into the dining room. The dog jumps on the table, destroying the food, and Cruso runs out of the house, escaping from the dog. Cruso then jumps into the fountain outside and starts eating the fish in it until sunrise. Lewis notices that Cruso has grown in size since the last time he saw him. They realize they have to take him to the nearest lake because hiding him in the house has become impossible. After Angus returns home, his mother tells him that she asked Commander Thomas to train him with the army platoon. Angus becomes busy with the training and can't go see Cruso, who keeps waiting for him. Eventually, Angus manages to sneak away from Thomas and goes to the lake, waiting for Cruso to appear. When Cruso doesn't show up, Angus takes a boat to the middle of the lake and finds Cruso behind him, now much larger due to all the food he has eaten. Cruso wants to play with him, so Angus climbs onto his back and Cruso swims with him in the water. Although Angus is terrified because he is afraid of water, he ends up enjoying the experience. Angus eventually discovers that the lake is blocked off by a large net set up by the army. After playing, Cruso brings him to the shore, and just before returning to the lake, Rank sees Cruso in the water. Angus goes back home and excitedly tells Lewis and Christy what happened. The next day, they accompany Commander Thomas to learn about the army's work on the hill and the platoon's plan to attack the Germans if they approach the area. The soldiers demonstrate the power of their cannons and test-launch rockets into the lake where Cruso is. Angus is upset when he finds out about this and tries to stop them, but he fails. The rockets are launched, and because Angus is too close to them, he almost gets injured. His mother punishes him by leaving him in the home. Meanwhile, a local resident, who is convinced he once saw Cruso, continues to watch the lake and brings a photographer to capture an image of Cruso as soon as he appears, but he fails to do so. In his pursuit of fame, he decides to fake the photograph. The photo spreads in the newspapers and Strunk sees it, confirming to his colleague Walker that he really saw Cruso. Walker and Strunk decide to hunt the creature to gain fame and become the ones who caught the monster. Meanwhile, Angus sneaks out of the house to check on Cruso after the attack. Lewis goes with him, and they reach the lake's shore. Angus calls out for Cruso until he appears, but Cruso tries to attack them. Luckily, Lewis saves Angus, and he realizes that after what happened, Cruso has become a wild animal and now attacks people because humans have harmed him. Angus is upset about losing his friend and returns home, but he hears Strunk's dog barking and understands that someone is looking for Cruso to hunt him. Indeed, Walker and Strunk are searching for Cruso until they are attacked. They inform the base that they are under attack at the lake and need all the rockets to be launched at Cruso to save them. However, the boat they were on capsizes near the shore, and Cruso is about to eat Strunk after Walker abandoned him and fled in fear. Angus tries to stop Cruso from killing Strunk, staying in the water until he starts to drown. Cruso throws Strunk aside and dives in to save Angus from drowning. Lewis manages to revive him. Thomas and Anna arrive and see the sea creature in front of them, realizing that Angus wasn't lying or imagining things. Suddenly, rockets are launched at the lake based on a distress call made by the boat before it capsized. Angus tries to communicate with Cruso to flee from the rockets. He rides on Cruso to guide him away from the range of the rockets. Because the weather is stormy with heavy rain, Thomas is unable to cancel the rocket launch orders over the radio. The surveillance soldiers report seeing something that looks like a periscope and think it's a German submarine attacking them, but it's actually Cruso's head. The rockets continue to be fired at Cruso and Angus, and the net is raised higher to prevent Cruso from escaping. Thomas and Anna are in a boat behind Angus to rescue him if he drowns. Angus decides to let Cruso hide underwater, away from the rockets, and he returns to his mother on the boat. However, Cruso dives underwater and manages to leap over the net, causing it to fall from the tower it was tied to. Cruso escapes to the sea and is finally free. Angus sees him for the last time, swimming in the ocean at sunrise, as a bidding farewell to his only friend. And that's the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.